Madison homeowners, this video is to educate you and make you more savvy. On my screen is a picture of an attic that has blown in fiberglass. It's this white fluffy stuff. It looks like snow. It is itchy and it is loose filled. The nice thing about blown in insulation up in an attic is it can get down into all the nooks and crannies and crevices, and it fills the space really well, or better than bat insulation. This is what a typical attic will look like when it's initially done, and the nominal or the rated or what's on the bag, the insulation value on the bag is often not the effective or the actual insulation value because you have holes in your attic plane. This is an example of a Romex wire, that is that orange wire going through a top plate. So that means air is moving right through your insulation down into your interior walls. So the picture on the left, you think, oh, this is totally great, but on closer inspection, when you have all these holes, it lowers the effectiveness of your insulation, and we can actually calculate that. Here's another picture of another penetration. This is some Romex, probably 14-2 wire going through, and there's another wire penetration that has not been air sealed, and indeed the entire top plate there is not air sealed. Some people's houses have vertical ceilings so that there's a vertical wall separating the conditioned space from the unconditioned space. In my ranch style house, we just have a flat horizontal ceiling, but some people's ceilings go over and then they go up to show like a vault in the living room, for example, okay? So here's one such example of a vertical wall when I'm looking up at someone's ceiling. Now, what's going on behind that wall? Check this out. That's what that looks like with infrared. There's a section of that vertical wall that has no insulation on the back of it. Those vertical walls are difficult to insulate and air seal properly, and most houses, it's not done right and it's not done well. It's not anyone's fault. People don't ask for it. People don't pay for it. And a quality job is not done. So here's what it looks like just with your visual eye. Oh, everything looks great, right? But on closer inspection, actually looks like this. And what's going on behind that? If we go up in the attic and we look, check that out. The fiberglass bats, which should not be used to insulate a vertical surface, are just force fit in there or just leaning up against the back of the drywall, which you can see there, and they just fall off. And then we get this big amount of heat transfer, which is exemplified using our infrared thermal photography. Here is the same phenomenon that we just saw in a different location, where we're looking at a vertical wall, probably off of a vaulted ceiling, up at in someone's house, and we can see an excessive amount of heat transfer coming from a hot attic into a cooler living space. And it looks like the insulation in this section is just straight up missing. It's probably fallen off, and we're getting a large amount of thermal transfer. One last thing I'll say about these vaulted ceilings, or sometimes even cathedral ceilings, they are hard to insulate well. And frequently when I'm up there crawling around and I'm crawling across some of the rafters and things, and I judge how much insulation is up there on the slanted or sloped part of those ceilings, it's not nearly as much as is on the horizontal parts. So check this out. I'm looking down at one of the diagonal slopes up in the attic, and I can see the back of the drywall. You can see the gray or that brown color right through the insulation. And if I look a little bit closer and bring out my tape measure, there is less than 2 inches of insulation on the edge of that vault. So right down below in this picture, you can see where the insulation has fallen off. And up on the slope surface, right on the edge, there's next to nothing there. Again, this is not done well. It frequently is not done well. And people should use foam board for those vertical surfaces to really lock in that insulation.